yourself why you're getting triggered so much by her. You have some serious work ahead of you or spiritual that you need to do on yourself. This is what she said. Now, there's a lot of neo spirituality in this, and I'm going to talk about what neo spirituality is. Neo spirituality usually happens out of non awakening. So that's just people that are interested in spirituality without having had an awakening. And most of this time, they pick up concepts from esoteric places or spiritual teachers that are not fully packed in truth, but they seem kind of almost romantic to be picked up. And one of the ideas is triggers. This is very interesting. When people say, why are you getting triggered like that? Maybe it's something that you should look at. Or some people even say is, you should ask yourself why you're being triggered, and you have some serious work ahead of yourself that you need to do on yourself. And this is actually a victim mentality by the neo spiritualists, and it's a big problem. And I'll tell you why. Because you know where self esteem comes from self being self aware. Meaning, in Germany, even there is a word that's called Selbstbewusstsein, to be aware of yourself. So that means that the more you are aware of your true self, the more you are aware that you are awareness itself, the more you become confident. And why? Because you're not afraid anymore. Confidence comes from not being afraid. It's very simple. The more you're afraid, the less confidence you have. Super simple. So when somebody says, you should look at those triggers, it basically is saying that something is not right with you. Something is not right with you, okay? And this is something that needs to be resolved. The problem, though, is the perfect analogy to recognize where the problem is if I see two people, okay, and one person hits the other person with a pen on the head or on the knee, then I'm also not like, wait, I need to put in battery. Give me a second. I need to load the battery. Then, 1 second. I need to put, shut off the battery. Okay. So, when, let me see if I did it correctly. Yes, okay. Because I only had 4% battery. So when, for example, um, when I hit someone else with a pen over their head, or they hit me, let's just say they hit me, okay, then you don't say, well, it triggers you. Maybe it's something that you should look at, you know. And this is something that is very much misunderstood in the spiritual community. Triggers, emotional triggers, and all of this stuff. Just because something triggers you, it doesn't mean it's your problem. And I've never seen anyone who's not triggered. Because why? Because it's just like a physical reaction. You can the energy, it's all energy, right? So if I say, fuck you, you suck, fuck you, you suck. If I say something like this, right? Then it's impossible that the energy field of the other person doesn't react. It's impossible. It's just like hitting someone else with a pen over it, with a pen over their head. So saying, because it's triggering you, you should look at that. It's absolutely the wrong way to go about it, and it does something tremendously bad. This whole neo spiritual idea of triggers should be looked at does something tremendously bad with you. It undermines your self esteem tremendously, because then you feel that you're a constant construction site, that you should be always reflecting, 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 and it never stops. It literally never stops. And this is not how true spirituality is. True spirituality is about letting go in a way that basically you don't care if it's a trigger or not, and you don't care how you react or not. It's just everything is in flow, everything is happening. And if you don't judge it, if you don't judge it, then everything can just happen by itself, even if it means that you're reacting on a trigger. And I think also a lot of people misunderstand my videos. They think that when I make a video, that I'm somehow emotionally attached to what I'm saying, in the sense like, oh my god, Teal Swan is triggering me, so I have to make a video. This is not how it is. I pick things which I believe need to be corrected in a way, just like a mathematician would correct something. And if their student does something wrong, for example, and and I just put out the video there for people to understand that maybe some beliefs they have about spirituality or therapies or healing, or yeah, healing modalities are wrong. I'm not saying all of them are wrong, and I don't say they don't help sometimes. What I'm saying is there is a higher truth in many things, and I'm ready to look at that higher truth to also reflect on what's really going on. And so, this whole neo spiritual idea of everything that triggers you is something that you should look at is absolute bullshit. Don't buy into that idea. So, I also want to be iconoclastic and really change the paradigm, in the sense like, what is true spirituality and what is truthful in the neo spiritual sense, and what is not truthful. And so again, this whole idea of you're being triggered by something, that's why you should look at it, is absolute bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Because the wave, if you have a large wave, it's just a large wave. If you have a small wave, it's just a small wave. If you have no wave, it's a no wave. But why are you judging the size of the wave? Why are you think like, oh, you're being triggered so much, you're being triggered so much, that's something you have so much work to do on yourself. That's like telling the ocean you need to have smaller waves. This just makes no sense. You see how idiotic these neo spiritualists are. And then when she says you have lots of work to do on yourself, you have a lot of work ahead of you, whatever she said. That's a toxic meta frame. It's a very obvious toxic meta frame. And this is exactly what happens by neo spiritual people that just picked up some shit in some book about spirituality. And now they go about and pretend that they know more than you, and they tell you what you need to do. So it's like, oh, you should ask yourself why you're being triggered so much. So you have a lot of work ahead of you. And this is exactly why neo spiritualism and this modern spiritualism is absolute bullshit. Because once you awaken, you recognize there's no work to do, because you already are. You already fully are. And what happens in the temporary world of emotions and triggers is just something that happens. It just happens shortly, and that's it. So what? So you get triggered strongly, you didn't get triggered strongly, you made a video, you didn't make a video. And so that's what I'm saying is, an awakened being cannot be together with a normal person in a relationship, and they can also not be together with a normal person with spiritual ideas in a relationship. Awakened being can only be within an awakened being. It doesn't work any other way, because then you get these things. A normal person, in quotation marks, a normal person, if they hear anything, if they read a book, if they read a book and the book talks about some spiritual ideas, then they immediately carry those spiritual ideas, neo spiritual ideas, and spiritual in quotation marks, they immediately carry those into the relationship. It's like, my husband, my wife should act like this because I've read it in this book. you got to be super careful about these things. Um, and that's why I'm also, if you want to call it triggered, this is why I'm triggered, or this is why I'm concerned about people that have a wide reach, like Teal Swan, that have a wide reach that say things which make no deeper sense. To a neo spiritualist, they make superficial sense. That's just like saying it's exactly the same thing like with the triggers. If it triggers you, you must look at it. Uh, and you have a lot of work ahead of you. It's the same thing like with, for example, masculine containment. It's the same idea. It sounds spiritually romantic. Sounds spiritually. Oh my God, it's so nice to be masculine contained. I mean, the thing is, tell me anyone who doesn't want to be positively contained. Everybody likes to be positive. I love it when my mother takes care of me, although I'm 45. Although she's not taking care of me. But if she were, she makes me like soup or something. I don't know, whatever. I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting soup from my mother. Uh, everybody likes that, but it doesn't mean that it's the spiritual truth on how you should go about things. I would go even so far that masculine containment is complete bullshit because what you want is actually two spiritually free people that decide to be together because it's true unconditional love in heart connection in which they come together and not some masculine containment about safety. I mean, there are lower chakra necessities like safety, but the more you are in the higher chakras, the less you have a need for safety because you feel inherently safe as a spiritual being. So if you don't identify with the body, you don't have that much necessity for safety. So the lower you are in your chakras with your energies and traumas, the more need for safety you have. So and Teal Swan said this in one of her videos. She said it very clearly. She said um, that that danger is everywhere. The danger is everywhere. See, she said one of these, masculine containment videos for the women. So the danger for women is everywhere. It's not everywhere. it's, she was like, he, so the guy says, it's like, it's safe. And the woman's like, no, it's not safe. It is safe. Unless you're I don't know, at 1 a.m. and outside, where people are drunk or something in a bad part of the city, it's pretty safe everywhere. Actually, the world is getting safer and safer. There's a statistic that the world is actually getting safer and safer. A lot of cities even are getting safer and safer. And but the mass media and everyone is trying to pretend that things are getting less and less uh, um, safer. But in historical context, there's less and less people dying from murders and robberies. So all over the world. So it's absolute bullshit to have in your mind that life is so unsafe. Of course, for example, right now there was an American woman in Madrid that went missing. I heard this on YouTube, and it's a Colombian woman, Colombian American. She went missing in Madrid, and probably she was killed, as most likely or something. And that news then blows up and becomes so large that you get the feeling this happens like everywhere, at all times. To every woman. So I don't want to say that you don't. I don't want to go into the practicalities now, but what I'm saying is to build a whole theory on masculine containment on the idea that the world is so extremely unsafe is bullshit. You should go more into like the spiritual awakening, the higher chakras, the higher, and move in that direction, and thereby you come. I mean, what kind of relationship are you having? You need a bodyguard then, not a man. Is what kind of relationship are you having if in this modern society your attachment to your guy is because he's giving you security? Complete bullshit. And at the same time, all women want to be emancipated and do whatever they want without accountability. So it literally, the whole thing is complete bogus. So what I'm trying to say is be aware of easy solutions, easy spiritual solutions, which can even be used for toxic metaframing others because now you feel you're superior. Very simple. And if you want the harder solution, it's literally sitting in silence with your heart space, becoming aware of your beingness, and letting that guide you in life and not some strange concepts about masculine containment, or if it triggers you, you should need to look at it. The problem is if you start down this road, it's a road that's never ending. It's an infinite road and you will never arrive. When in fact, everything that you seek is already here. And there's no trigger that needs to be solved. There's no trigger that needs to be removed. Um, it's a decision for a harmonious life, for self-love, for for being aware and being in the present moment, and even enjoying your triggers. So you're triggered. You just look at it. Are you the trigger? Are you not the trigger? And just accept that the trigger is there. Everything is fine. Um, it's actually, it even creates a fight against the trigger. So if you say a trigger is something that needs to be worked at, I mean, that creates a positive, negative energy towards the trigger and any other trigger as well. So you start to doubt your spiritual path because you're like, why am I getting triggered all the time? This is so funny. It's actually very funny. And I think this is a lot of people who are not awakened don't understand this. I mean, true awakening. True awakening is not the judging or moving around of temporary phenomena. It's asking yourself and looking at it, really looking at it. Am I that which happens in the temporary world, or am I the infinite, untouchable awareness? And when you recognize that you're the infinite, untouchable awareness, you don't care about what's happening in the dream, so to speak. You don't care about these temporary things. And they will never go away. The triggers remain. Even Mooji said it. The triggers remain. It's just they might not be so strong, whatever, but they remain. I mean, clearly they remain. The awakening that I had was in October 2015, and since then I've had things that emotionally move me or the body, but I don't get stuck with them. That's the difference. Okay.